Need an assist on finding a new vehicle? Head to Bob Moore Ford because we're dishing out deals on our entire inventory, like the 2013 F-150 or F-250. Pick yours, then roll out. Visit BobMooreFordOKC.com for a chance to win our monthly prize.
Durant, pull-up jumper, off the rim, and and the Thunder win! All right, come on, let's sing the Thunder song. When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder buddy and say these magic words.
Hello and welcome back to a poolside edition of the Thunder Buddies podcast. We're here in near LAX, but we're in Lakerland, Clipperland now, I guess. Thunder Clippers last night. Big win for the Thunder, Game 2. I got Darnelly, Mayberry, and Barry Tramel with me to talk about it. It was actually a Game 3 win. First, initial thoughts on what was a huge win for the Thunder last night. We'll start with you, Darnell.
Huge win, much needed win by the Thunder. You thought maybe they'd get one of the two. To get Game 3, I think, is a huge burden off their shoulders. You know, it's a weight off that they don't have to worry about trying to get Game 4. So I thought it was a huge win.
Are you guys worried that, like you said, it's a weight off their shoulder? Hey, we got one. Kind of like the Clippers when they were in OKC. It was like, you know, we got one and they weren't maybe as energized in Game 2. Are you worried the Thunder, hey, we came here for a split, we got a split, and maybe not come out as energized on Sunday?
Well, I think that's a concern. I don't know that you have to worry about it because that is what you really needed when you came out here. So we'll see. You know, there's a belief that the Clippers are reeling to some degree mentally and emotionally. So I think that's as big a concern for them as the Thunder concern is a letdown. But the deal with the Thunder is this. They've played in the last 5 games, they've played one dud, and they've played 4 excellent games. So they're really playing at a high level and sort of extending the standard to which they've set. So, I mean, the longer this series goes, the more it's clear to me that the Thunder is just better than the Clippers. That's the best place to start when you talk about what's going to happen in this game or in succeeding games.
It seems to me it's all about Russell Westbrook. And you mentioned the 5 games they played so well. It's when Russell Westbrook flipped the switch as far as he shot like 38 threes in the first 5 games of Memphis. He was throwing up shots, wasn't getting many assists. He flips that around. He's not taking many threes. He's really setting his teammates up. He had a 16-assist game, a 13-assist game. I think in the last 5 or 6 games, I put this stat out there yesterday, I think he's averaging 28 points, 10 assists, 9 rebounds. That's ridiculous numbers, especially in the playoffs. Is how he's playing, is that why the Thunder are suddenly have kind of turned a corner?
Well, I think that's a big reason. And, of course, Durant's freed from the shackles of Tony Allen and, you know, actually sort of started really playing well even the last 2 games of Memphis, but he's playing spectacular against the Clippers. And the Clippers have no answer for Durant, have no answer for Westbrook. And their strengths, Griffin and Jordan's dominance inside, are being countered reasonably well by Ibaka, Perk, and Adams. So, you know, it's sort of what we said going into the series, which is the Thunder strengths the Clippers don't have good answers for. The Clipper strengths, the Thunder at least has a decent shot at it. So that's what's been played out.
Yeah, they've slowed them for sure. And I think another factor, the bench. The last 2 games, the Thunder bench has outplayed the Clipper bench. So that's been big. Caron Butler and Reggie Jackson kind of arrived. Darnell?
Don't forget about your man, Steven Adams.
Stone Cold is working. I mean, he's made some strides the last, 5 games or so, as far as I think he's permanently in the rotation probably for, I guess, for his career, right?
Looks to be that way. I think he's going to start next year. I keep saying it.
Even with the way Perk's playing?
Perk's played well, but I just think you need to, at some point, pass the baton. I think you need to start getting ready for the future. And Steven Adams has showed that he can be an impact player just based on his athleticism and his energy. He's going to learn the other parts, the finer parts of the game. I think he just needs to be out there and soak up more minutes at this point.
And Scott Brooks has shown a willingness that, maybe we didn't know if he would, but he's playing him over Nick Collison. And I mean, we know how much he loves Nick Collison, but Steven Adams is playing a lot more minutes than Nick Collison lately.
Yeah, Nick hasn't been very good this year, this postseason.
Yeah, he's just not as impactful. Adams goes out there and it's like,
He had 7 rebounds in his first 7 minutes in Game 3. A huge block on Jamal Crawford.
Yeah.
KD got beat off the dribble. Steven Adams comes out of nowhere and just swats it up against the backboard. Impressive play.
Barry, you're writing about Steven Adams for tomorrow. I mean, how impressed are you with this guy right now?
I'm very impressed with him. He's impacting the game without having the ball, which is always a very solid thing to do. And he's coming up with a basket or two here and there. And, he really, I think he's, in some ways, he's been the difference. Perk and Ibaka have played very well. Perk not so much last night, but Perk and Ibaka really played well against Griffin and Jordan. But when you throw in Adams coming in and helping both of those guys out, I think that's what sort of turns the tide in the inside game. They're really, they get no relief even when, Ibaka goes in foul trouble. Now, I thought Collison, what you said is right, Arif. He hadn't played well this postseason. But I thought he came in and did a decent job last night.
He had 2 plays last night. He had a backdoor pass.
Stabilizing with Ibaka in foul trouble. And then Adams has just come in and done the same. So the Thunder depth, the bench hasn't played well in this series, but the Thunder depth is starting to assert itself and sort of let people know, hey, this is a deep team that is a little bit more than just Durant and Westbrook.
Barry, you kind of, in the car, were saying you thought Scott Brooks coached a really good game last night.
I was really impressed with, first of all, bad foul trouble. Tabo gets 2 fouls in the first quarter. Serge gets 2 fouls in the first quarter. Reggie Jackson gets 2 fouls early. I mean, he's really having to scramble with his lineup and do things he doesn't want to do. And then he makes the great move to go small. Really hadn't gone small hardly at all in this game, first 3 quarters. Goes small the entire fourth quarter and relies on Durant to keep DeAndre Jordan away from the basket. And Durant did it. Great fourth quarter by Durant. And when the Thunder play small and the Clippers stay big, major defensive matchup problems for the Clippers. We saw that with Butler. Griffin was on Butler some.
And he got 3 threes.
Gets 3 threes. All of them put the Thunder ahead. And then the Clippers are having to switch on defense, and we saw it in the last 2 minutes that caused problems with Durant and Westbrook. So the Thunder's very hard to guard when they go small. And if they can turn around and then curtail the big men, major advantage to OKC.
Yeah. Brooks, we keep talking about this turnaround, and really it's kind of weird. Everything dates back to Game 5. Like, Westbrook really turned his season or his postseason in Game 5. Durant really got going after Game 5 of the Memphis series. Scott Brooks made those adjustments after Game 5. Steven Adams was inserted into the rotation, and now he's taking a step after Game 5. So, I mean, was Game 6 like maybe of the Memphis series like a turning point for this franchise potentially?
It's an excellent point, I think. That's an excellent point. If you remember, we thought this twice in the Grizzlies series. We thought this season was
Remember
about to
the
be
podcast
done.
we had? The ship is sinking.
It's over.
Hit the panic button. It is over.
Yeah.
And I believe that the next day was the headline, man. The headlines after Game 5, too. I mean, not that I want to get into that, but that from then, from between Game 5 and Game 6, this season turned.
And I think Barry said something as we were coming back from the game last night. Thunder might be going to the NBA Finals. I mean, they're 2 wins away from the Western Conference Finals now.
Yeah.
And the Spurs are 2 wins away from the Western Conference Finals. I think we can all agree that the Spurs can't beat the Thunder in a 7-game series.
Well, I'd favor the Thunder. The Thunder clearly match up better, but the Spurs are nasty.
They're going to be tough.
They're playing super well right now.
If the Thunder's playing like they're playing now against the Spurs,
mm-hmm.
no way can San Antonio keep up. Russell Westbrook playing a heady game. Kevin Durant now finding his rhythm, his form again. You got Reggie Jackson contributing. Caron Butler making fourth quarter shots. Serge Ibaka putting up 20 points, not even being a focal point of the offense. This team is playing really well right now.
Really well. But so are the Spurs. I agree with you, the matchup problems, but I'm not penciling them in the finals if they. Well, maybe I'll pencil them in, but I'm not,
You're not
inking
going to
them.
pull out
I'm
the
not
Sharpie.
Sharpie, no Sharpie.
Barry, you ready to pull out the Sharpie?
I'm probably ready to pull out the blocks of granite, just chisel it into the rock. Stone tablet time.
So, are you? Wait, hold on. Get him back with the mic. Are you stone cold locking a guarantee Thunder to the finals right now, right here?
Yes, I'll do that.
He's stone cold locking it in.
I don't know what that means, stone cold locking. But if somebody's,
I don't know. It sounds pretty sweet,
if
though.
somebody's wanting to plan a vacation around the Thunder schedule, wait until the fourth week of June.
Okay. Who's more of a lock? And I already know what you're going to say, but the Thunder or Miami?
Miami's a lock because
Yeah.
they're not playing anybody.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I guess I'll wait for a couple more minutes to talk about the Pacers.
Yeah,
I'll
you
wait a
should.
couple more
You and your
minutes.
boy Andrew Bynum, who's having about as much fun watching the Pacers.
Pacers Heat, like I said all along.
Yeah, I mean, everyone said Pacers Heat, really. I mean, I guess I picked the Wizards in this
Everybody
series.
jumped off the Pacers bandwagon.
Yeah, no, there's
Let's
no
be
doubt
honest.
about that. There's no doubt about that, but whatever. I think the Heat are going to knock them out in 5.
We'll see. They match up really well with the Heat.
Yeah, when they were playing well, but
I think it's going to be a more competitive series than you think.
the Heat are playing really well right now.
They are. Can they sustain that against the Pacers, who they don't match up well with?
Well, the thing about the Heat is, I mean, they may only play 8 games before the Eastern Conference Finals.
I said I was going to wait a couple minutes, and then I just hijacked the podcast to talk about the Pacers.
Hey, I got no problem talking a little Pacers Heat, but I mean, I'm just saying the Heat swept the first round. They won these first 2. They could just win the next 2 and then have a real long rest heading into that Pacers series. And if you give LeBron a rest, I mean,
Pacers could win the next 2 as well. What's stopping them from winning the next 2?
Yeah, true, but they had a 7-game battle in round 1. What you think, Barry? You were the first person off the Pacers bandwagon.
Yeah, the Pacers stink. They may beat the Wizards. I don't know, but they're not going to beat the Heat.
You see the final score of that game last night?
Yeah, it's like 48-17.
Basically.
They scored 63 points. Is that right? The Wizards scored 63 points.
Yeah, and the Clippers had 63.
That's what the Clippers had
half
63
last
at
night.
halftime.
Yeah, and they
The
didn't
Thunder
even
had-
win. 61.
They had 61 and 57 in their 2 halves last night.
It was ugly.
It's not. It's just not the same basketball.
No. But the thing is, if the Heat can win it again this year, and they're obviously still favored, the East will have won the title 3 straight years. But, all right, you guys want to go back to Thunder? We got sidetracked right there.
Yeah.
Serge Ibaka, you mentioned him earlier.
Playing great.
Is he the key? I mean, just what he's doing with Blake Griffin defensively, what he's given them offensively, the fact that he's basically made that matchup a wash, or maybe even, if we're looking efficiency-wise, I mean, it's maybe even tipped in the Thunder's favor.
Yeah, I think even going back to the Grizzlies series, I did those matchups for our preview of each series. And, I gave the edge to Zach Randolph in the first round, but a line in that, I said, it's closer than it's ever been. And I think this matchup between Blake and Serge is now closer than it's ever been.
Which is weird because Blake's made a monster leap this year.
Blake's been huge this season. And Serge Ibaka, I think one of the most undertold stories of the year is Serge Ibaka's development, what he's done offensively. Defensively, he's now guarding the post much better. He's guarding the pick and roll. He's guarding on the perimeter. He's become a much more well-rounded player on both ends. And nobody really talks about that because he's constantly overshadowed by Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant. But he's really done a great job of helping the Thunder not just stay in this series, but have a 2-1 lead in this series.
I think post defense is the biggest thing you mentioned. He's now become I mean, that was like an issue with him in the past. Like, yeah, he's a great weak side shot blocker, but he can't be Defensive Player of the Year because he can't, stay in front of people or he can't defend them well in the post. He's been really good in the post this series, really all year.
He's a big-time player. Serge Ibaka is a big-time player. He stood out there last night in that second half and just got to the side of the elbow and let Westbrook run pick and rolls. And if the Thunder wanted to try to slow Russ or Durant, either one, they just flipped the ball to Serge, and he was swishing those 18-footers. There was no rim rattling. They were all as true as could be. He is
7 of 7 on
He's
mid-range.
playing the tough defense when Blake's got the ball. He's still guarding the rim. Just a phenomenal player. This idea that the Thunder is a two-man team with a bunch of role players, Serge is a big-time player. He's an impactful player. You go into a game again or a series against the Thunder, and it's not just Durant and Westbrook that you sit there and say, oh, my God, what do we do with those guys? It's Serge Ibaka as well.
Hey, where would the Thunder be right now with James Harden and not Serge Ibaka? Who's going to guard
So
Blake Griffin?
you're saying they kept James Harden and had to give up Serge Ibaka?
They were going to have to give up one of them.
Yeah, I mean, not necessarily if Harden had signed that deal, which would have been a way cheaper deal, and obviously why he didn't sign it. But if he signed that,
What would have been a cheaper deal?
the one that they offered him,
Harden?
yeah,
They offered him $53 million.
yeah, that's cheaper, way cheaper than what he got. He got a max deal.
Cheaper than what he signed for in Houston.
Well, he got an extra year in Houston.
Yeah, and he got a max deal.
Yeah, it's only a difference of like $4 million.
That would be cheaper. $4 million. If you said, do you want this
Over
deal?
the life of the deal.
Anthony, do you want this deal or do you want this deal for $4 million? I say, well, that $4 million less deal is a lot cheaper to me. It's $4 million less.
It wasn't that much difference in money, I don't think.
Anyway,
They wouldn't have been able to keep. The fact is, they wouldn't have been able to keep both players. Somebody was going to have to go.
okay.
Whether they amnestied Perk, whether they traded Ibaka, whether they ended up having to trade Harden. Somebody wasn't going to be here. And when people look at that James Harden deal, they keep saying they kept the wrong guy. Some people want them to get rid of Russ.
Yeah.
Where's James Harden today? He's probably sitting at a pool like us right now. So my point is,
With $4 million more dollars, loving life.
The idea that they should have kept James Harden and kept 3 perimeter players is idiotic. I mean, you needed a big man, and everybody keeps talking about how this team needs a big man. Well, guess what? They got one who can play offense and defense. Does he give you low post scoring like people covet? No. But he's basically automatic from mid-range, and he's playing great defense in the post.
In a weird way, they play differently, and Serge is obviously a better shot blocker, and Chris Bosh is who I'm comparing him to right now, is obviously maybe more consistent, can stretch it out to 3 more consistently, but he kind of gives the Thunder what Chris Bosh gives the Heat as far as
offensively. Yeah,
we got the 2 stars, that are getting to the rim, and I'm the safety valve. I'm consistently hitting the mid-range jumper. I can stretch it out to 3. Very solid on defense. People underrate Chris Bosh's defense. He's not the shot blocker that Serge is, but I think that's kind of maybe a good comparison in the league, and what Serge has become is what Bosh has been the last few years.
Barry, have you come around? Frankly, I could throw myself in here too, because I still think Chris Bosh is a better player than Serge Ibaka. But have you changed your opinion?
Well, no, because he always started that Ibaka was better, right?
Well, I said Ibaka was better. Yeah,
he's not.
I caught flack. I caught flack on the radio from the 2 experts I do radio with, but
yeah,
the defense that Ibaka plays is way underrated. That shot blocking stuff, Durant talked about it. Durant didn't talk about anything basketball in his speech, if you remember, except for one thing. Talking about Serge Ibaka. He thanked Serge. He said, you clean up our messes. When me and Russ and everybody else is out there and we screw up on the perimeter, we don't have to worry about it too much, because guess what? Big boy's back there to swat the shot into the stands.
But if we're just talking Ibaka Bosh, I mean, Bosh is very good defender.
He's a very good player, but he doesn't do what Ibaka does. There's like 3 guys in the league that does what Ibaka does, and none of them are near as good as Ibaka on offense.
Whoa. Anthony Davis, my man.
Well, I mean, I haven't seen enough of him. That's possibly true.
He led the league in blocks this year, and I mean, he averaged
that's
like 20
possibly
a game.
true.
But I mean, come on. I agree with you. I agree with your overall point.
So what do you think, Slater? You think Ibaka's better than Bosch?
I think Ibaka is rapidly ascending and is going to pass Bosch, who's obviously, I think he just turned 30 or 31, and he's kind of starting to decline. But man, Chris Bosch is still very underrated.
Yeah, I still think Bosch is the better player.
Chris Bosch they're both really underrated and incredible, and especially on the teams, the roles they play are secondary to what they could play. Like remember Bosch on Toronto?
Yeah.
Ibaka couldn't do that necessarily.
The answer is no. I don't remember Bosch on Toronto, and neither does anybody else in North America. He went up there and played in anonymity. We don't have any idea what he was doing up there.
I'm just saying, like, the stuff he was capable of, he's averaging like 24 and 12. But anyway, I mean, I think, like you said, with all these matchups, Ibaka, it's never been closer like Ibaka with Blake. It's never been closer like Ibaka with Randolph. If it's Heat Thunder, which Barry Tramel's over there, are you making plane reservations to Miami right now?
I think we ought to go upstairs right now and do it. Yes, if that's your question.
So
I think we're going to Indiana.
Oh my! Well, stop.
We'll just drive to Indianapolis. We don't have to worry about the flying.
Anyway, I think if Darnell does the matchups in a potential NBA Finals, then that line will be in it too. You might give the edge to Miami, but it's never been closer. Because remember 2012, Bosch killed Ibaka.
The Thunder still doesn't have an answer for LeBron James.
Well, no doubt about that.
I mean, nobody does.
Yeah,
but he
on.
has mind control over the Thunder. He really does.
Body control.
You're right. That's a good edge for the Heat. But let me tell you, Russ is way better now than he was 2 years ago, and Dwayne Wade is not as good.
Russ was pretty good 2 years ago in the finals.
He was very good in the finals, but he's a way better player now.
Yeah. Man, that final, it's still far away, but that finals
we're basically just blowing off these last 2 wins they need for the Clippers in the Western Conference Finals. We're on South Beach. Next podcast from South Beach. Forget the Western Conference Finals.
Barry's ones that etch it in stone, which
I think they're pretty. I mean, they look different though, Slater. They look like
who? The Thunder.
The Thunder. They look more
doubt.
confident. They look more sure of themselves. They still have patchy moments, like rough patches, but they just look different right now than they did in those first 5 games.
Yeah,
against the
like
Grizzlies.
we were just talking about it. I mean, it was just Game 5 how bad they looked, and then suddenly Game 6, boom! It's just a flip switch, and it's really, like I said, it's been Westbrook. It's been how Westbrook's played. There's other factors clearly. Durant's played better. Adams is in the rotation, but I think it all goes back to.
I agree with you. Russell Westbrook is the key. If he plays like this, the Thunder is pretty much unbeatable. The way he's shooting 58% from the field, 50% from 3-point range, and he's only taken 16.7 shots in this series.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's just playing a much better style of play. He's under control. He's taking better shots. He's not turning it over nearly as much, and he's getting his teammates involved like crazy. When he does that, I don't know how you beat the Thunder.
Yeah, I mean, he's had games like 16 assists and 16 field goal attempts. Last night he had 13 assists and 14 field goal attempts. He's balancing and mixing his all-world crazy dynamic explosion with underrated vision and the willingness to kind of be what people would refer to as a true point guard. He's just mixing it better than I've seen.
Well, I think what you can see now is people start criticizing his fashion sense because
they got to find
they're running out of something to gripe about, and that's legit. The fashion sense is completely legitimate criticism, but I think that's what you're going to see because there's nobody. I say that, and it's nonsense. People will still find a reason to get on him. I mean, we got an email yesterday, me and RFD, from somebody just railing on the guy.
I think I know who
he's playing the
was.
best basketball of his life. He's playing the best basketball in the league, perhaps, right now, with the possible exception of the ultimate superstars, LeBron and Durant and whoever else. And still, they're finding reason to gripe him.
Is Russell Westbrook this year's postseason MVP right through however many the second round?
Yeah, I think he's kind of. Somebody actually said that yesterday, but I think he's kind of turning it towards him. The first round was LaMarcus Aldridge, I thought, but they're now getting walloped in the second round. LeBron, I mean, he's only played 6 games, but he's been really good in those 6 games. So
He's up there.
We could talk.
He's up there.
Yeah, you're right, but it doesn't matter because the postseason MVP is going to be the best player on the team that wins the finals. So, but Westbrook is maybe playing the best basketball. But the thing is, LeBron's not in any close games to where he has to.
The next time I talk to Russell Westbrook, I'm going to ask him, why don't you play like this all the time? To me, he would be the best point guard in the league and maybe a top 3 player right behind LeBron and Durant if he played like this for 82 games a year.
I mean, that's tough to.
Why is it tough?
Because I mean, people aren't always in the rhythm. I think he should play more under control like he is now. But I mean, you've played plenty of basketball in your life. Sometimes you go out on the court and you kind of just feel a little off, or sometimes you go out and you're like, I'm feeling really good today. He's in one of those stretches.
You know what I do when I'm feeling a little off? I don't jack up 27-footers with 19 on the shot clock.
I don't know. I've seen you out there. You jack up some 27.
I don't understand why he can't play the same way he's playing in this postseason, these last 4 or 5 games.
I mean, I think you can make the argument decision-wise, but I mean, he's hitting threes really well right now. He's hitting his mid-range. And when he starts...
But you know why he's hitting threes? Because he's taking better threes.
No,
he's taking threes that come in the floor of the offense. If people sag off of him, he's going to pull up and make them pay. If the ball is swung his way, he's going to take the shot. That's what he should do, not coming down in transition, pulling up 1-on-3. Those are the types of plays he's got to get rid of. I don't understand why he can't do that in the 82-game season.
Yeah, no, he should play this kind of style more often than he does. I'm just saying you can't. Hey man, why don't you just be on a triple-double pace for 82 games? I don't understand.
I think the triple-double and the numbers are a product of him playing a more controlled style.
Oh no, there's zero doubt about it.
He's
I'm
just
going
out there playing out of his mind and getting triple-doubles. I think he's going out there and playing more under control and within himself more, and it's a product of that.
Yeah.
In addition to the hustle, I mean, he's all over the floor, flying all over the floor, getting rebounds, getting steals, playing defense, but
yeah,
he's under control more offensively.
I mean, as much as we talk about, like, this guy's got never-ending energy, you know, he always looks like he's, you know, getting with it. But you can't play with that energy 43 minutes a night for 82 regular season games. I don't care if you are Russell Westbrook.
If you'll notice, Durant always plays more minutes than Westbrook, and that's because of the hockey. I liken it to hockey, where guys literally have to be substituted on a regular basis.
Because they're so tired.
And they just wear out. And that's the way Westbrook plays basketball. He can't play 48 minutes because he'll literally fall over. He's got to go sit down and relieve some of that energy and the rest that he requires. Now he can play 42 minutes, sit out 3 minutes per half, but Scotty literally has to sit him because of the way he plays, or he'll combust.
I'd like to see him play with better pace. I don't think what I'm saying is like anything that's far-fetched. Play with better pace, and you don't have to play balls to the wall for 38 minutes, however long you're out there.
But man, balls to the wall is what makes him Russell Westbrook. That's what puts the fear of God in every opponent. That's what endears him to Scotty Brooks. I think you're playing with some fire if you try to lasso the fury.
Prediction. In the next 2 years, we will see Russell Westbrook learn how to play with better pace. I think we're going to see him turn down the balls to the wall activity, and we're going to see him figure out how to say, okay, this quarter I'm going to get Serge Ibaka 3 shots. I'm going to get Thabo Cephalosha 2 corner 3-pointers. I'm gonna get to the free throw line 4 times instead of barreling to the rim, getting charges or turning it over, losing it out of bounds. I think we're going to see that over the next 2 years out of Russell Westbrook.
I think we've seen that in the last 10 days.
But not consistently, and that's my point. We got to see it consistently.
The thing, this is what I'm saying, is we have seen it in stretches. We've seen it even in the regular season. I remember a game against Philly this year. He had like 13 assists in like 20 minutes. But he's moody. I mean, he's just a moody guy. So, like, he's
You
going to have a
think?
regular season game where he's like, no, I'm going for 50. I don't care. No, going to the rack every time.
And the other thing is defensively. That's one thing that I'm not mentioning nearly enough. I'm not going to, if I'm Russell Westbrook, I'm not going to go out there and try to get 25 to 30. I'm going to take this quarter off and lock up my man. Take pride in defense. That's the type of play that I want to see him. And I think we're going to see it in the next 2 years. I think that's his next level of progression.
He's done for stretches, but I can almost guarantee for the rest of his career he's gonna have stretches where it's just like he's just doing what he's doing, where he's going forward.
The game would be so much easier for him if he played that way. Like, he makes it look easy now because he's just such an incredible athlete, but the game would be so much easier if he just dialed it back and said, you know what, I'm gonna pick and choose my spots a little bit better and take this quarter off offensively and try to get my teammates involved, or take this quarter off offensively and play lockdown defense. The game would be so much easier for him, and it'll make the Thunder that much better.
I think you said something, and then you kept talking. I forgot what I was going to say. Something. Oh. Russell Westbrook is many things. Moody, he's not.
Huh?
Russell Westbrook is not moody. He's always in a sour mood. Unless he tears his meniscus, and then he sort of.
I mean, he'll be joking. He's always in a sour mood with the media.
Well,
But I mean, he'll be kind of like joking and laughing, and then something will set him off. Or Scott Foster will say, "Hey man, just stop," and he'll go, "What did you just say?" Whatever he was mad about last night. No, he's moody. I
think he's always moody. RFD's moody. Russell Westbrook is not moody. Russell Westbrook's always lit up.
He plays differently. He'll always play differently. He's going to have stretches where he's great. He's going to have stretches where you're like, wait, why did you just take 13 threes in a quarter? So
13 threes in a quarter.
Anybody check? What's CP3 shooting from 3 in this series? It's possible Russell Westbrook has the best 3-point percentage in this series.
No chance. CP3 went 8 and 9
8 and
in
9
game
is
one.
pretty hard to top.
And then he was 2 of 2. At one point, he was 10 of 11. I don't know what he's done since, but he hasn't been. He probably hasn't even taken that many.
Westbrook's
threes
shooting 50%, and
Paul,
that's still
what
hard
did
to
Paul
top.
go last night, Barry?
Chris Paul was 8 and 9.
I know.
In game
he's
one.
10 of
That's hard
11
to
at
top.
one point because he hit his first 2 in game 2.
There you go. 2 of 6. So 10 of 11 is 12 of 17.
12 of 17 at least.
At least.
I'm just saying. Well, at minimum, I think he missed a few. Yeah, at best.
At best.
My bad. I think he missed a few more in that game, so he's probably something like 12 of 20, which is still better than Westbrook. And
not much better.
Why are you bringing up CP?
I was just talking about Westbrook. I'm just showing the Westbrook progression. He might have the best 3-point percentage in this series, and if not, he's second.
Has Westbrook made his case in this series? And obviously it's going to matter how it finishes out, but, hey, I'm the best point guard in the NBA.
Oh, I don't know. I doubt he's going to have to play better for longer to supplant CP3.
Yeah, but I mean, these arguments are made in the playoffs. Chris Paul's never gotten past the second round, and guess where your legacies are made?
Chris Paul's never had Kevin Durant on his team either.
Well, yeah, that's a fact. I haven't either.
I think Westbrook's made a lot of friends in terms of support for his prowess as a point guard. However, I don't think he's caught Chris Paul in reputation or even in deed. But he's made a lot of inroads, no doubt about it.
Yeah, he's still. I think he's made the jump to number 2 on the point guard list. I think Chris Paul's still number 1. I think the gap is closing, but Chris Paul's basketball IQ, his control of the offense, his ability to dictate pace, are all things that he's also still a better shooter than Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
He turns it over. He's not as erratic, not as out of control at times as Russell Westbrook. So all of those things and more, I think he makes his teammates better, of course. All those things are, to me, what makes Chris Paul a better point guard.
I agree. I'd take I think Chris Paul's consistently a better point guard. My question to both of you is: Russell Westbrook's ceiling game his best? Is Russell Westbrook's best better than Chris Paul's best?
That's an interesting question. I think I would still go with Chris Paul because he has the ability to take over a game with his scoring. He can get to the rim. He can shoot it from mid-range and three-point line.
Yeah, well, I mean,
and he can get to the free throw line when he needs to. So he can give it to you offensively, but he can also make his ability to make his teammates better is incredible.
No, but remember, I'm talking about Westbrook's best, and when Westbrook's at his best, he's making his teammates better. He's having 16 assists, 13 assists.
We've seen
Paul
that
does it more consistently.
2 or 3 times out of Russell Westbrook.
Well, that's why I said not who's consistently better Paul is, but whose best is better. I think
Chris Paul to me. Chris Paul.
I don't know. I kind of think
Westbrook is getting close because he'll give it to you defensively. He's a pest on defense when he's at his best. He's going to get steals. He's going to make game-changing plays defensively.
And you know what's the difference to me? If you just think about it when they're guarding each other. If Chris Paul is like playing really well and he's going at Russell Westbrook and Russell Westbrook's really into it defensively, Westbrook's got a shot against Paul as far as like I'm just as amped and I'm quick. If Westbrook's playing like he was last night going at Chris Paul, I mean, you saw it. Chris Paul's got no shot.
Paul's got no shot. You're right.
So I think that's a big difference when they're at their best, both.
And you also got to give credit for Russell Westbrook's rebounding.
Oh my dude,
he's the best. He's averaging 9 rebounds in the playoffs.
I know. I mean, that's like top 15 in the league, top 10 in the league.
Like point guards aren't supposed to do that.
No, he's been and this isn't a 2-week thing. This guy's been the best rebounding point guard in the NBA the past 5 years, I think. So
I think we lost Barry Tramel.
I think Barry Tramel may have fallen asleep.
I think the pool atmosphere,
side.
the ambiance has gotten
I think
the
more
sun,
than the ambience, the sun, and it's
In-N-Out Burger. I think all of that together is just kind of.
And his last 2 weeks have been pretty
yeah,
brutal.
He's had a rough one. I think he's falling asleep by the pool here. You all right, Barry?
I'm good, and let me say this. Through absolutely no fault, there's no reflection on you two guys. But the last 48 hours or so have been Les Miserables for me. The only time I've felt vibrant and alive, 3 hours of that basketball game last night.
It's a good game.
That got me juiced and got me going. I didn't once stop to commiserate with my fatigue or lack of sleep. That was a big-time ball game.
Tell us about your seat. Who'd you see coming and going?
Well, I had the seat of all time.
BT was taking selfies with Rihanna.
As long as you don't have to watch the ball game. I was on like row 3 on the baseline, which is not a bad seat except there's a walkway behind row 2. So everybody going to the front row seats walk right in front of me. So I had all kinds of people. Rihanna came by 2 or 3 times. I can say that she's a very attractive woman, and I was most pleased with this. She seemed to really handle stardom really well. She stopped and posed for a picture with a little kid, and so I was pleased with that.
I saw Barry's Instagram. He put on a nice little selfie with Rihanna. It was cool.
Do you know what Instagram is?
It's some sort of photographic Twitter. Is that a good description?
Yeah, it is.
Okay. Let's see, who else did I see?
Imagine BT on Instagram taking selfies.
Sam Presti walked by in the middle of the game. He's all fired up. Billy Crystal did not walk in front of me.
He was sitting right across from me and Darnell.
I didn't see Penny Marshall.
Oh, I saw her. Yeah, she walked by.
I was sitting by a record producer, hip-hop record producer, whose name I do not know, but a big-timer. All the stars, every celeb came and stopped and said hello to him. Very impressive guy, just dressed low-key, had his little boy with him. Low-key guy, did not seem to be there to shine in the moment, just seemed to be there to enjoy the game. So that was good. I was very disappointed in the crowd, though. I thought the crowd was very mediocre.
It was.
Yeah, you guys talk about that because that's probably like my 20th game covering of the Clippers or whatever. I've been there plenty of times. I've kind of tuned it out. What would you guys think of the crowd inside Staples Center for Clippers games?
No, I mean, I've only been to a Lakers game. That was the first Clippers game I've been to. Maybe it's because we've been, in the middle of a Thunder and, Oklahoma City and Memphis series, which was like 7 games, crazy. The crowds in Memphis were nuts. Obviously, the crowds in OKC are crazy. And then we had the first 2 games in OKC. That crowd last night was quiet. The production wasn't good.
By far the worst playoff crowd I've ever been to.
Yeah.
Houston had been the worst. This was worse than Houston. Dallas, 1,000 times better. Lakers, way better. San Antonio, Memphis, Oklahoma City, not even in the same. I did not go to either one of those
How
two
about
Denver
Miami?
games.
How about Miami?
Miami's way better. Way better.
Yeah. I will say though, there's a different kind of I enjoyed it in a different way, which was obviously people watching some of the crowd.
Tell them about our seats, Slater.
Oh man. Basically, I mean, do we have the best seats in the house?
That was probably one of the best seats, if not the best
We
seat
were top
I've ever
10.
had in 8 years as a beat writer.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, I've only had 1 year, but it was by far my best seat. I mean, we're talking center court, front row.
Scott Brooks is caboose hitting in your face half the game.
And we were in the middle of a bunch of just like interactions, and like there was a ton of technicals and people arguing with each other, and like we were hearing everything everyone was saying. Those were sweet seats. Like top 10 seats in the building. You know what I'm saying? If you took 10 people and said, "Hey, pick where you want to sit," we had 2 of those seats.
And Floyd Money Mayweather and the money team was about
the
8
money
seats
team.
down from us.
Floyd Mayweather, and how tall you think he is?
Probably about 5'8", 5'9". Not even 5'9". He might be 5'7".
Yeah, he was sitting right near us, and then at halftime he had his crew of about 9 bodyguards.
And guess who strolls up to him like they're old pals?
Jim Gray?
Grant Long.
Oh, Grant Long, yeah. I made fun of Grant Long for that
Grant
one.
Long.
Yeah, he did. But, I mean, his bodyguards, my favorite thing about his bodyguards is they were all wearing matching shirts. Matching Money Mayweather shirts.
Well, if you were making what he's probably paying his money team, you'd put on a shirt too.
I'd put it on too. I just thought it was funny. It was like the whole production of it all. Like this boxer's got like 8 bodyguards, and one of them legitimately 7 feet tall, 370 pounds.
Yeah, Grant Long stood next to him, and he made Grant kind of look small. And Grant's 6'10". He's an NBA power forward for 15 years.
It was that was crazy.
There's a wild scene in there. Different.
That's
totally different world.
That's what I'm saying. Like, I'm going to get plenty of Thunder home playoff games. Memphis was really fun. That was different for me. The crowd wasn't as good, but I still enjoyed it in a weird way.
Memphis?
Yesterday
Clippers. Yeah.
I enjoyed Memphis too, but I'm saying in a different way that I thought that was fun.
Yeah. What else? Anything else?
I wanted to ask Barry about his thoughts on L.A. as a whole. I mean, I know he doesn't like the traffic.
I got one thing to say. Santa Monica Freeway, sometimes it makes a country boy feel blue. By the way, Oklahoma, I did my civic duty on this trip. I dialed up a YouTube version of David Frizzell and Shelley West. You're the reason God made Oklahoma.
Barry,
and I educated RFD and AC Slater and Johnny Damon and made them listen to it while we were on the 405. And I think they're the better for it now.
I think
they've got a clearer understanding of the differences between Oklahoma and L.A.
If anybody out there who listens to this podcast knows anything about what he's talking about, tweet me or Anthony Slater at Anthony whatever V Slater, and let us know, because we've never heard of this song, and it almost literally did put us to sleep.
I've got only one more thing to say. All the cowboys down on the Sunset Strip wish that they could be like you.
That'll do it for Barry Tramel on this podcast.
We got to get him out of here before he gets sunburned falling asleep in the sun. That'll be something.
Man, okay. Couple last things on this series. I am predicting. I want a Game 4 prediction from both of you, and I'm going to go last. Game 4 prediction and just what's going to happen. Not necessarily, well, I guess who's going to win, but
I'm going to go with the Clippers because I picked the Thunder to win in 7. And the Clippers are in full-blown desperation mode at this point. No way they're going to come out and lose on their home floor twice and go back to Oklahoma City staring at a 3-1 deficit. I still think it'll go 7. I think the Clippers will play their most physical game yet. I think they'll be as mentally tough as we've seen. I think they're going to make shots and try to figure out a way to slow down some of the role players. They're not going to stop Kevin Durant and Russell Westbrook, but they can't let Serge get 20. They can't let Kendrick Perkins and Thabo Cephalosha go off. So I'm going to go with the Clippers in Game 4. I think this series comes back to Oklahoma City tied at 2 games apiece.
I'll take the Thunder. I think they're exerting their will the more this series goes on. So I I don't really believe it at first, but maybe everybody keeps saying it. Maybe this whole Donald Sterling thing is wearing on the Clippers, and maybe this season is starting to become a burden.
Yeah, I think that storyline's overrated. I just think the Thunder have outplayed them. But my prediction for Game 4, Darnell's going to be shocked at this.
Jamal Crawford goes up for 50.
I think Jamal Crawford's going to have a big game. He's going to have a big game at some point in this series,
Why?
think.
Why?
Because he's capable of exploding.
So is Reggie Jackson.
Yeah.
We haven't seen it.
Yeah, he was good last night.
14 points is not exploding.
Yeah, that's true.
Who you got?
Jamal Crawford has a longer resume of explosions.
Who you got?
I got Clippers, and I got Jamal Crawford having a huge game.
Seriously?
Yeah. I think the Thunder are going to win this series, but I think the Clippers are going to come out desperate. I think their role players are going to have a good game, and that includes Crawford. And I think Big Baby's going to body some fools because – is that the best nickname in basketball?
Big Baby. Barry, what about it? Best nickname in basketball?
I assume not, but nothing immediately comes to mind, but I assume not.
I think
Slim Reaper ain't bad, even though Kevin don't like it. Who cares what he likes? Slim Reaper's pretty good.
I like my nickname for Kendrick Perkins, Gran Torino, better than Big Baby.
What do you think, Slater? Any good ones?
Big Baby.
We love you some Big Baby.
Yeah, the Clippers got some characters that are just hilarious. But, I think the Clippers are going to find a way, but I think the Thunder are going to win this series. And Barry Tramel has officially fallen asleep for the second time.
You'll be snoring here in a second. We better wrap
we
it
don't want to
up.
hold anyone back from their day, particularly Barry. So that'll do it for us on the poolside edition of the Thunder Buddies podcast. We'll talk to you again next week.
Durant pull-up jumper off the rim and in! Oh! And the Thunder win! Oh, come on, let's sing the Thunder song. When you hear the sound of thunder, don't you get too scared. Just grab your Thunder buddy and say these magic words.